If you're a longtime viewer, then you might have expected this coming, seeing as in a lot of my videos, I haven't included this concept in any of the original stories that I tell on here, in any of my story predictions, or just in general. However, if you're someone that hasn't noticed this and are also a longtime viewer but just haven't realized this until now, or if you're someone new here and are just learning this well now, then I think I should explain on why I do not believe in the concept of romance. So, the main reason on why I do not believe in the concept of romance is because it's both gross and pointless at the same time. Like, I don't get what the big deal is surrounding this concept. I mean, it sparked a lot of cursed video games, and just the concept overall has just made those video games bad. And people have been saying that this concept is needed to tell a good story, but you don't necessarily need to use the concept of romance in order to tell a good story. You can tell a good story and make a good video game or video game movie or video game TV show without this concept. Good examples of good video games that have been made without this concept include Sonic Frontiers, Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and the more recent Donkey Kong Bonanza. All of these are great games that do not involve the concept of romance. And this is one of the reasons on what makes these games so great, and then, of course, good examples of video game movies that don't involve this concept are the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, the Uncharted movie, and believe it or not, the accursed Borderlands movie, if you can believe it. Yeah, the Borderlands movie does not involve this concept at all, which proves my point that you don't really need to involve this concept in order to tell a good story. In fact, if it wasn't for this concept existing in the first place, we wouldn't have sus fan art, there wouldn't be any shipping wars, and then there wouldn't be any content farms. So yeah, this concept, I just don't get it, I don't get what the big deal is surrounding this. All the stories that I've made, all of the story prediction videos that I have created here on the channel, I don't use this concept because what's the big deal? It's pretty much pointless, it doesn't, you don't really need this to tell a story. I'm sorry, but I don't see why this has people starting things on the internet. Because of this concept, people are constantly fighting whether or not this character should act like this or like that. It's because of this concept that it's ruined a lot of video games, or just characters in video games overall. I mean, in fact, the first Uncharted game and the first part in The Last of Us, they're both good games that don't involve this concept. Well, I mean, I think I'm remembering right here, but well, I mean, it wasn't until the Left Behind DLC for The Last of Us where they involved the concept, and it wasn't until the later installments of the Uncharted and The Last of Us games that they started using that concept as well. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy the Uncharted and The Last of Us series, okay? I think those two series are great. In fact, I even like, and this is coming from someone who actually likes the Last of Us Part II. Like, I do not think any of the games are bad. It's just, I don't really see why they needed to include the concept in their story. I mean, the first games in those series, they didn't use the concept at all. In fact, it's because of this concept that kind of just ruined one part of the Last of Us TV show, where I'm sorry, I can't get into it, but if you've seen the show, then you might have known about a certain part that is completely not accurate to the game, which kind of just ruins the whole thing and stuff. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with believing in this concept. I mean, we all have our different point of views, right? We all have different POVs. This is just mine. You know, if you believe in this concept, that's perfectly fine. If you believe in the concept of romance, that's perfectly fine. It's just, I don't get it, you know? I'm just someone that just doesn't see the point of this. In fact, if it wasn't for Richard believing in this concept, I probably wouldn't even exist right now, and I would not be talking to all of you about this. So, it doesn't matter whether or not you are attracted to one gender or the other, or something like that, or if you're attracted to both, or I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's just, I believe all forms of romance are pointless, okay? It doesn't matter how it's formed in a story. I don't care for it, okay? I don't see the point of it. I think it's better off if video games and video game adaptations are just written without this concept, you know. And I've already said this, but it's because of this concept that it's because of this concept that it ruined a lot of characters in video games, you know. I mean, think of one character that is driven by this concept, and that's the main reason on why they're such a bad character. All right, well, I've gone on long enough with this. Thanks for listening to this, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.